Hello everyone. We're back again with another logic video. And today we're covering the subject of how to make a death animation upon death. I've got these handy dandy spikes set up here. It's a simple sculpt grouped together. The platform is a little bit off kilter. Might move it in just a tad. And the spikes are labeled as a foe. That doesn't really matter in this case, but I just thought I'd mention it. There's also a there's an invisible piece of material inside the group. This invisible piece of material is set to collidable, but is of course, invisible. And it's set to scenery. I simply copied one of these that was available from before. And I put a little health modifier. Used L1 and X to snap it to the surface of the cube. And if we open it up with L1 and square, we'll see the value of modification. The modification amount is 0, or negative 100, I should say. It's set to impact as opposed to zone, but you could use a zone. That would work also. It only hurts a friend. And our little character here is labeled as a friend, of course. And every blank puppet that you put out has a health modifier included, which you'll see right here. His HP maximum is 1.0, so this thing will definitely kill him. And when it comes to death animations, it's a pretty simple concept. I usually have a separate chip right over here, and I'll have a counter. And I'll take the value of no health, which usually is connected to the controller sensor, and I'll delete the wire and take the wire out, and stick it in the plus symbol, or the increase count input on the counter. The counter should be set to a target value of 1. They naturally come that way, but just in case yours is set to 2, set it to 1. I also have this other tag in here called kill, set to about there, and it's also connected to increase count. And basically what that does is, if you want to create a zone, like say if he falls off a cliff or something, if you want to create a zone that instantly kills him, you could just take out a trigger zone, set it to detect tag, and as soon as he enters that, he will die. We don't currently have a death sound effect, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how it works. The death animation, that is. So the counter is hooked up to a timeline set to sustain, and sustain is an important setting in this situation. What I've done is taken out an action recorder. I have his basic pose programmed in from the beginning. I moved outward. First you grab this, then you grab that. This is basically the center of the puppet, so move outward from there, just slightly move the limbs. If you've watched my action recorder's tutorial, then you already know the drill. We move the playhead forward, and we've got an animation here recorded. And don't forget to touch all of his various limbs for this death pose. Like, make sure you get all of them in. You'll notice how there's some spaces missing in these previous animations. That's because it doesn't really matter too much. If they are, it'll still run smoothly. But for this part, if you're going to have him laying down, make sure you get all of those places. The belly, the chest, the neck, everything. Make sure they're all selected. Like, make sure that you move them just a little bit. Similar to how we first recorded our action recorder animation. Then, if you're in record mode, you can just grab and drag with X. You can create a, selection and copy it with L1, or I think it's L1. L1 and R2 copies the animation, which I've done. And the reason why I do this is because it makes it go smoother if you want him to lie down. There will be this little, you'll notice he'll kind of do this little thing where his legs spring back up, but that's kind of fine. It doesn't hurt anything. And I've also copied another row and pulled it all the way over here. That's the actual length of our animation, but I have it cut off. And the reason why is because it will be permanently stuck in a state of him laying on the floor if we do this. If it's set to sustain, power will constantly be applied to our action recorder, and it will not progress. It will just be stuck with him laying on the floor instead of reaching its end like it normally would. And that's why we've done this whole thing where we set it to sustain instead of play once or any other setting. I've also got this little switch here, which basically just respawns him. That's like the amount of time before you respawn, and once it hits the switch, that's the moment you respawn. I've also got a couple of movers. One is set to 15%. This will make him shoot up in the air a little bit after he's hurt. I've put the dampening down to 50%, but the strength, the movement strength, is up to 100. I've also got another little mover here which has less speed, and this basically will decelerate him and make him go back down to the ground. I've made it slightly slower though at 3.0. Same settings otherwise. I don't have it set to local, so he'll instantly go down no matter what his orientation is. For this one I've got it set to local, although it really doesn't make a difference. You could probably have it not set that way, but I decided to do it that way in case. Oh, I've also got this action recorder, which I guess we could call shut, because what it does is shut off all the various things that we need to shut off during death. So his movement, all you gotta do is open the puppet interface with L1 and square and tap X on the power, so he won't be able to move, jump, or do any of that. I've also turned off his animations, which I've put in a single chip to save on wires. And I've turned off his procedural animations, which are hooked up to this node in this switch. All I do is turn off the switch. But if you want to see where the procedurals are located, all you gotta do is scope out of the puppet, press L1 and square to open up the tweak menu, and go over here where you'll see the procedurals. These mainly affect his ability to adhere to the ground, like his feet and such. So if you shut these off, you won't have his feet glitching out and trying to collide with the ground and interrupting the animation. And I've also, since I don't want him to change layers, in this case the action is changing layers, but if you had a combat-focused game, you would want to shut off your attacks as well. And all you gotta do is shut off the nodes from your controller sensor that would ordinarily connect to the action. And that will make it nice and easy to prevent him from doing things like changing layers, jumping, and all that sort of stuff. Although jumping can just be shut off by shutting off the puppet interface. But if you have like a crawl feature or whatever and you don't want him using that during death. It's not really advantageous to shut off the controller sensor itself since the player possesses that, and that's also what controls respawning. So don't do that. I just advise putting all of your controller outputs, just connect them to some nodes inside a chip and shut the chip off. That's the best way. And be careful not to shut off the other logic, because if you have logic that controls his basic state, like say he's, got clothing in here or something, if you shut that off, he would suddenly default to his basic clothing or his basic state, which I don't think is good. Just shut off the appropriate ports. You don't need to shut off the logic in all cases. There are some cases where you'd want to shut it off, but keep it in different chips so it won't interfere with anything. But yeah, that's pretty simple. I will add a little death sound effect. keep in mind that whenever he collides with this thing, he's going to have the same death sound effect, so we'll just get a grunt. Well, I guess that works just about as well as anything. And for the spike, you could actually scope in here and maybe put a little, I don't know, spike sound effect. Yeah, that'll do. Just press L1 and X to make it adhere to the surface. Set it to play once. It's a little loud. Let's kind of lower it. And just take currently modifying and connect to the power, and it should work just fine. Although one thing that's a little annoying is how it's playing over. That's a little bit of a faux pas. A technical foul. So let's just put a chip on the invisible material and we'll go ahead and get this started. Don't know what happened there. I guess I accidentally created a group. Let's go ahead and put the modifier in here. Take out a node. And a NOT gate. Connect the NOT gate to the node, and I think you have some inkling of what I'm doing if you've seen this before. I do this a lot. To prevent playback, we'll take out a timeline, set it to play once. And we'll put the sound effect in there, and this should probably prevent us from triggering the sound effect multiple times. It's a little extra logic, but another way is you could have an invisible block with the sound effect on it, and you could have an emitter emit it. That might be cheaper. Let's try that. Yeah. We'll copy out this block. Put a sound effect on it. I know this technically doesn't have anything to do with set it to a lifetime of 0.1, emit once. Technically doesn't have anything to do with death animations quite. Actually, you know, on second thought, don't use the emission method because it'll run into the same problem of playing multiple times. Just go ahead and use this method. It probably works better. And that's it. That's how to make a death animation. It's fairly simple. You could also have multiple different types using this tag method. What you could do is have multiple types of death, and basically, like, say, drown or something. Just have it so that at the appropriate moment, a trigger zone appears and makes the drown animation play, which would be a separate, different animation. You could even have it so that when it's playing, it shuts off the other one, so there's no chance of double animations overlapping with each other. But that's pretty much it on how to make a death animation. I hope you found this helpful.
Thanks for watching. If you have any thoughts, leave a comment, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. That's all for now. Goodbye.